Salutations. How's everybody doing? Appreciate everybody coming in today. Hope everybody's having a safe and lovely Wednesday. Once again, this is the Logic Lounge with Fleazy Jones, brought to you by Block Legend 7. Shouts out to Block Legend 7 and ING Records. Shouts out to ING and the whole team. I am Fleazy Jones, and this is episode 3. Man, I'm excited. I'm excited, man. So far, so good. And you can't complain when it comes to nothing like that. But today, man, 3 is going to be nice. I have a great gentleman coming to the lounge today to have a sit down with me, man. This brother is absolutely amazing. I personally say he's a jack of all trade, master of many, when I'm aware that the saying is master of none, but not this guy. I won't even fully waste your time in trying to explain, because there's so much. I definitely want to bring this gentleman up, but I will say he's hailing from Greensboro, North Carolina. He finished actually undergrad, I believe, in education there. He moved to D.C. back in '05 and has been there ever since. But this guy has been all over the United States and working on the world. So as I said, let's bring him up and let's do it together. Once again, not once again, but ladies and gentlemen, the great Byron V Garrett. There he is.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I am good. I am great now, man. I got to say, excited is an understatement. First of all, shouts out to my brother Block Legend, who put me in tune with you. And when I started doing my homework, I was absolutely amazed. Absolutely amazing. I had to bring you here to the lounge, man, to pick your brain. So first and foremost, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, which doing the homework, I see you have a very busy schedule. So I am like overexcited, man. So thank you. Thank you for coming to the Logic Lounge today.
No, thank you. Glad to join you. I tell people I go where I'm invited. So when people extend the invitation, I do everything I can to make it work. And so here we are this afternoon, and I'm excited to sit down and offer some insight as best I can. And thanks certainly for getting it set up and getting us connected, because, it always takes somebody else like Block or somebody else to introduce you to somebody else. So we're thankful for that. So peace to him.
Yeah. Yes, peace to him, definitely. Well, man, I'll dig in, man. Like I said, I've done as much homework as I possibly can. I'm a little upset I didn't get to do more, because there's so much that is going on with you. Like, you have so many hats, brother. I'm unaware how you still have a head at this point. So I'd like to kind of dig into that, man. So, know you from Greensboro, and
Yeah.
you're an undergrad from there as well. Is that in education? Am I correct with that?
Actually, no, my undergrad degree is in human relations with a minor in business. But you're right, I am from Greensboro. I went to college at High Point, good old High Point University now. It was High Point College back in the day. But
Yes,
yeah.
sir. Oh, wow. So more jewels. So I noticed in the questionnaire, man, that helps me do my research as well. You've been pretty much all over the United States and working on the world now. I understand that you lived in Phoenix for 10 years
Hmm.
after North Carolina. Yeah, you've been to LA,
Yeah.
Seattle,
Yep.
my hometown, Chicago, which that automatically makes us cousins. There's nothing you can do about it. I don't make the rules. I just follow them.
Sup,
Uh,
cuz?
yeah, what's up, cousin? You gotta come to the barbecue next time, man. It is absolutely amazing to know that. And I'm just going to break down a few of the accolades that I was able to see in my homework. First of all, you're an author.
Yes, sir.
You're an author with Scholastic
Yep.
at that. Book, from what I know, is Motivation for Greatness. Please believe that will be on my list of getting so I can get deeper in depth with Mr. Garrett. I see that you were basically like giving motivation to people. And with your educational background, I have to ask, why motivational speaking?
It's interesting. I'll try to keep it short because it's a long answer. But when I was in high school, I thought the most exciting, amazing career would be to be an astronaut. So we had this astronaut come to speak. He was awful. Everybody knew he was awful. I was clowning in the middle of the assembly, and so my English teacher, Miss Pittman, said, "Mr. Garrett, see me afterwards." And we were talking about how the speaker wasn't great. He didn't meet our expectations. And she said, "Well, tomorrow I want you to come and I want you to speak to the class for the entire time like he did." And I was like, "Bet, not a problem. You put me on the spot, I got you." So I go to class the next day. I'm supposed to do 50 minutes, a full period. I only talk 15. And she was like, "See, you couldn't even go the entire time." I said, "That's true. But my 15 minutes was better than his 50 all day, every day, based on the class response." But I realized in that moment that we have a unique opportunity when you have a platform or a profile or a background that you can actually help somebody transition from one station in life to the next. So that has always been a focus that I've had. How do you help inspire people to achieve greatness and exceed the expectation? Because all too often people that look like me and come from where I come from are discounted and miscounted even before we get started.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I absolutely agree with that, which leads me to, I'll say this is a Chi-Town question, piggybacking off of that, because with that said, man, so many, you'd be surprised at what can help a person just by telling them something. So
Mm-hmm.
I have to ask, why? I understand the inspiration, but why do you really care about the next man? What inspired that to care?
Yeah, that's a core foundational belief of my family. I mean, that goes all the way back to my grandmother and my grandparents telling me you got to leave the world better than you found it. So I know that sounds
Mm,
cliche and that sounds like just something that the old people say, but it's true. I fundamentally believe we have a responsibility to leave things better than whatever state we found them in. If that's a relationship with the person, they should be better off having encountered you. If it's a job or an organization, it should be better whenever you leave from it. And so that's always been my perspective. I'm a huge fan of Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, who founded
yes.
Bethune-Cookman College or Bethune-Cookman University down in Daytona Beach, Florida. But
Yes,
above
sir.
the gates of their campus, it says, "Enter to worship and depart to serve." And so I've always taken that approach that servant leadership is critical to my success. And I'm going to be successful and blessed because I'm trying to support other people, not because it directly benefits me, but just because I want to see them do well and help them win. I think everybody can win. There is only
Yes, sir.
one competition because there's only one human race. And so we all can work on these things together in the same direction. But I've just always been committed my entire life in trying to help other people move to that next station in life.
That is absolutely amazing. That is, again, for those who's coming in, welcome to the Logic Lounge, brought to you by Block Legend 7. We're speaking with the great Byron V Garrett right now. Um, I have to say, man, with that, you're so natural at what you do, first and foremost, which
Thank
is
you.
yeah, you can't teach that, man. I have to give roses what roses are due, and I have to give a shout out to something that stuck out. Now, mind you, when my brother Block put me in tune with you, first thing that popped out to me, right? I have to say it, and forgive me if I mess it up because I tried to put it to memory. If the mind can conceive it
Yes,
and
sir.
the heart can believe it, then the hands can achieve it
Yes,
because
sir.
everything begins with the mind. Now, am I correct there? Did I?
That's exactly right. That's from my kids' book I wrote back in 2015. I wanted to inspire young people to realize that I call it Tagadi for short, but there's greatness on the inside is the name of the book. But that's exactly it. That if the mind can conceive it and the heart can believe it, then the hands can achieve it. It all begins in the mind. So in other words, whatever we're thinking and truly believe and commit our hands to, we can
Yes, sir.
bring it to pass. The challenge people run into, however, is that they won't go the distance. We often give in, give up, and give out before we actually make it across the finish line. But it starts
Yes,
with
sir.
the belief that it's actually possible, that you can believe and see yourself in the role, that you commit yourself to making it happen, and then you literally do the work to actually get there. I also tell people success does not happen overnight, but it happens
Yes,
over time, which means you don't get the luxury of saying, "Wow, it didn't happen for me today. It didn't happen last week." Well, you've got to continue to grind. I had some students ask me last week in DC at a conference, like, "How much are you grinding?" I'm like, every day's a grinding.
yes, sir.
Every day is a grind. It is a
Yes, sir.
continuous, nonstop. Even when I'm on vacation, I'm still on email texting because that's what we need to do to make life work, and that's what I'm committed to doing throughout all of my endeavors and the type of work I do.
Awesome. Awesome. Going on to another hat. Now,
Yeah.
this is something that I found on my own, so brother, a little proud of it. Not only is this man the president and CEO of the National Job Corps Association, this man is the chairman of the National Family Engagement Alliance. Is that
Yes,
correct?
sir.
Did I say that right? Oh
You're
yeah, I
exactly
went to
right.
YouTube, brother. I went to you. Listen, I had the popcorn. You know what I'm
You went in the
saying? A little
crate.
juicy juice. And listen, I was like, wow, this man like spoke to the mayor of, I believe, if I'm Tallahassee, Florida,
Yes, former
Mayor
mayor.
Gillum.
Hmm. Yes, sir.
And I was just blown away because, like I say, to be introduced to you, knowing only motivational speaking, fashion, and all of this stuff came. I'm just like, wait, what?
it's
Is this
it's
even the same
confusing.
person?
Please,
It's
it's
the greatest
confusing
confusion.
because I try to tell people it depends what setting you meet me in. So if you meet me in the education space, I'm focused solely on education at that point in time in discussion if I'm speaking at a conference or a school. So that's how you know me. If you meet me in New York Fashion Week and I'm showing my line, so you make the assumption this guy's a fashion designer. Well, I am that too. Or if you meet me in the corporate universe, you find out I've worked in the nonprofit space. So I run Job Corps now. I used to be CEO of National PTA, which is what got me to Chicago. But all of those different pathways lead in the same direction. I'm trying to figure out how do we improve the condition of humanity and what does it actually take for us to do that. But yeah, I wear a couple different hats depending upon the day and the time. My mom said, I'm a little bit crazy. And I was like, it's the ADD and ADHD. It takes all of those things to sustain my attention span.
And that's interesting you would say that because I noticed in the fun fact portion of my question, uh, you said, and I quote, you're an extroverted introvert.
Yes.
And when I tell you that was like bars, I felt that because I've always said I'm a people person that don't really like people, but people like me.
That part.
And so when I saw that, I was like, yo, I owe this man some money because now I have to use that. I've got to borrow that because that is, and it's just amazing how the two connects, right? Because what you do is so connected to people. I'm sure you could tell certain people that and they'll look at you like you tripping like that. No, you're not. What? You're an introvert? Like, I
Yeah.
just seen you in Paris. I just seen you in New York. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like,
right.
that
But
is so
people
crazy.
who know me really well, they also know that when I want my space and I crave my time, I want my space and I crave my time. So if I'm in your presence and I'm at a conference and I'm there speaking or doing a book signing, I'm going to give you 110% of me while you have me. But then as soon as we leave, I want to decompress. I want to go back to
Yes,
my
sir.
space. I was with some friends celebrating one of my friends, and I actually just saw him on a second ago, Jason Carter from Cayman Islands. We were down there the other week celebrating his birthday during Thanksgiving week. And they
Nice.
go out and they party hard. And I mean, I can go. But he was like, I can't believe you're not going out another night. I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, I'll catch up with you all tomorrow. I want to go to the beach. I want to see the starfish. I need to chill because
Yeah.
I think oftentimes we think because people have an extroverted role, that you're a speaker or you're an entertainer or you're in front of people, that means that's who you are all the time. That is certainly a piece of who I am. I like to think that I'm steadily working to perfect that craft and improve that side of me. But I can also be the biggest homebody in the world, and I can be home for 2 or 3 days. And if I didn't have to, I wouldn't even leave my room because I could just sit and Netflix. I can bring food up, have a whole bunch of beverages and stuff, and be hydrated, and I'm good. But I realize you
Yeah,
also owe it to folks around you to be available as they need you too. But you've got to find that balance that works for you. And for each of us, that's different.
absolutely. Absolutely. That was well said, man. I I feel the same way. I do it. I actually feed off the people in a way. Like I'm a
Mm-hmm.
pretty Block says is charisma. But sometimes I'm just that. Some days, man, I'm content with four walls, a TV, you know what I mean? So I like to
Yeah.
write, I love music. I don't necessarily have to have people around, but it's dope in the same sense. You know what I mean? It's like, and again, seeing what I saw doing my homework with you, it's like it doesn't even match. I almost want to call you a liar in a way, but it's like, dude, what, how? Like, this is absolutely, absolutely amazing. And bringing it back to the Caps. And once again, people, we are on the Logic Lounge, brought to you by Block Legend 7. I am boy Fleazy Jones with the awesome Byron V Garrett. Speaker for life. If you don't know, please follow that man. Get to know this man. Here's where you guys were made so far. Wait for this one. Visionary and Chief Creative Officer for the awesome, let me make sure I got it. I put it in. Now, this one, I'm looking at the notes. The DCO Collection.
Yes, sir. And you got it exactly right. The Valdecio Collection. It's not clothing, it's art. Yeah, it's a luxury lifestyle brand I started back in 2015. I was out doing a book tour, and I used to buy these expensive shirts by Robert Graham, and folks were like, "Oh, I love your shirt." And I was like, "Yeah, it's fly. I look good." And then I realized by the fifth or sixth city, hey, I can't keep buying these shirts because they cost too much. But more
Yeah.
importantly, what I realized was that I'm promoting this brand that's not giving me a single dime. I'm not even getting a discount, but I did want to look good. And I didn't tell a single person. I didn't tell my best friends. I didn't tell my personal advisory board. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell my spouse at the time. I didn't tell anybody. But I sought out a seamstress out in LA who helped me create my first shirt prototype. I told her what was really important. This is the type of material, the type of finishings, and said, let's see if we can create something. Well, we created 5. I went back out on the road. I got the same response. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. I might be onto something. And people were like, oh, well, tell me the brand. And I was like, oh, it's the Valdecio Collection. I totally just made it up. Now, Valdecio is my middle name, but
I knew it.
Yeah, Byron V Garrett, Valdecio, bro. So,
I knew it.
You got to give the people something. So I was like, oh, it's from the Valdecio Collection. I'm a brand ambassador for them because people can also hate on you just when you're getting started. And they can disrupt your success even before you get the green light. And so I didn't tell anybody. I didn't want the negative feedback, the negative influences. And I spent about 6 months creating shirts and clothes and just trying to figure this business side out. And then when I got the response I did, I said, oh, we onto something. I need to figure out how I put this into a space where people can actually turn around and benefit from it. And I can also turn it into a business. And so we started doing men's clothing, then created unisex apparel because all my female friends got mad. And then I turned around and said, can we do a watch? Can we do fragrances? What are all the things I love? And so it just kind of took on a life of its own. And then this year, as I mentioned earlier, we did New York Fashion Week for the first time. We got invited to do that. I was at Paris Fashion Week back in March. So it's just been a crazy ride. And it just goes to show, again, success doesn't happen overnight over time. But you also can't tell everybody what you're up to. Sometimes you just need to move in silence and let the work speak for itself. And I'm so thankful I did that. For years, people didn't even know. They were like, Valdecio, man, that's a cool brand. You with some Italian company? I was like, yep, I sure am. It's a hot brand. It's the new thing. And then when people found out, they were like, wait a minute, this is you? That's your middle name? I was like, it is. Legally, it's my middle name. Byron Valdecio Garrett.
Oh my God, dude! This was, and look, I'm peeping the fashions. I have to ask. I seen a YouTube video where you were on Fox News at the DMV, and you were teaching self-awareness. You were promoting your book at the time, Motivation for Greatness. And I was peeping the gold, man. I was like, yo, I'm a huge Morris Day fan, so I was looking at the gold joint. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna need that in like a 6X or something. Might take a couple curtains, but let's not talk about that.
Nah, but we can make it. Later. We make stuff of all sizes for all folks. And you're right, that gold for that interview, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's from the collection. Today I should have been in it, but that's not how I packed to come to LA. But But yeah, I'm usually in
Yeah.
Valdecio. Probably eight out of 10 times you see me, I'm wearing something that came from my collection, like hands down.
Oh man. Now you say you kept it under wraps, right? Now you and mind you, you have all these hats. So just
Mhm.
like I asked about motivation, why fashion, brother? How did that hit you other than the fact you're like, "Ah, I'm not getting paid for this, but that's a lot with the hats you have. That is a
Yeah.
lot to deal with in the fashion world from what I know. So
Oh no,
why how did you land there? Yeah.
it is a lot. And I think because I got the good response initially. And so, but then I realized that there is a business opportunity because people are interested in what it is I'm wearing or what they've seen me create. And so I just said I need to spend some mental time to figure out what's the business side of this
Mm-hmm.
process and of this work. You got a great design partner. Shout out to Marisol, California, who literally has been with me since day one. She's created from
Mm-hmm.
hand. I don't sew, so she's created every single pattern for every garment that I've ever worn or that I've created. She's literally sewn all that from scratch without a doubt. And so I
Okay.
realized that there was a business moment in fashion. Plus, fashion has this unique ability to make people feel better. It can improve your confidence. It ties into the same messages and things that I talk about from an inspiration standpoint. Once you get your mind
Mm-hmm.
right and you get ready for an interview or a presentation, you got to look good. And so, what
Yeah.
you can look good in Valdecio. Then I was like, oh, you can
Yeah.
smell good with a little smell good from Valdecio, a couple fragrances, and then you put on a timepiece as well. Like I looked at it. I did shoes at a period of time as well, and I realized nope, it takes too much effort. I don't have enough ingenuity and I don't have the resources to bring that to scale. So let me focus on the things that I do best, and that's really served me well so far.
Yes, and I can absolutely tell that. I was blown away, man. First of all, I'm scrolling, right? Just to give you an idea. I'm looking, I'm hitting videos, I'm looking like, damn, that's dope, that's dope, that's dope. Is that CC Peniston? Is that what? And with that said, like, it leads to the question that Brother Block asked as well. Who are some of the people you worked with as far as in the fashion world? Have you worked with certain names, or have you been kind of working towards that?
It's a yes and right. So I've been
Mhm.
really fortunate and blessed. CC is like my sister, if you would, my best, literally my best friend. Hosted my birthday party this past July. But I've been fortunate to be in the fashion space, and I wouldn't say just in fashion, but throughout my career, I've been fortunate to get connected with some amazing folks of note. Some of them celebrities, some of them political leaders, some of them business leaders, but all have some sense and some degree of fame in different ways. The fashion way is easier because people can identify that they need something for the red carpet. I had a kid that I think greatly of that works on a Nickelodeon show named Terrence. He plays the character Miles on this show called Danger Force. He just did a red carpet thing a couple weeks ago. It's like, yo, I need something. I gotta wear what you got. So what can you create for me? So we pulled something together for Terrence during that time frame. But yes, CC, I've done stuff for. I've had Vanessa Williams wear stuff. I've sent stuff to Tashina Arnold, who I've known for years. Just a variety of folks. Different athletes have worn things. Amari Stoudemire used to do a lot of stuff for in Phoenix. So when I first started, I sent him some things. But I've been really fortunate in that sense that, and I tell people it doesn't really matter. Sure, it seems like it if CC wore it or somebody else. I create stuff because I want people to have access to it and they don't have to break the bank in order to get it. That's always been my
Okay.
intention. And so we're super appreciative of that and thankful for all of their collective support and how they rallied. My very first show that I did in Hollywood, CC was there front row and center. Did all the photos, red carpet, meet and greet with everybody. Not for CC. She did it because, this is my boy Byron. I'm here because
Yeah.
wherever I'm at, he's there. And wherever he's at, I'm there. So I'm super appreciative and thankful and blessed to have made those connections at different stages in my life.
Oh wow. Absolutely, absolutely. That is a lot. And for those coming in again, we are at the Logic Lounge with Fleazy Jones, speaking with the great speaker for life, Byron V Garrett. I so many hats, brother. I have to ask, a bit personal, but
Yeah.
not too. Uh, we all know life happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've all known, like, the pandemic is one thing I could say unified everybody getting their ass kicked in a sense, right?
Yeah.
So with that, have you ever had a breaking point in the midst of your journey? And if so, how did you deal with that?
Have I? I still
Yes.
do at times. See, people will make this assumption that, once you achieve some level of success, that everything from there is coasting. Diddy was doing an interview, I think it was last week or earlier this week that I saw part of, and he said, I was grinding then when I was an intern or I started Uptown. But even now that yeah, he's a multimillionaire, but he's still trying to get to the next level, and there's still challenges that he faces. And that's a reality for all of us. I mean, I think unless you're, well, I was going to say unless you're Elon Musk, but now Elon Musk has made tons of money, but he has his own challenges, right?
Yeah.
But yes,
Yeah.
I've had a number of those. I have signature moments that I can recall where things have happened specifically that stick out. I had a cousin die at the age of 21. We were the same age. That hit home
Mm.
for me in ways that I can't even articulate even to this day, but it
Yes,
made
sir.
me move and shift in a different direction. My eldest brother was incarcerated for 20 years. When he
Mm.
left and when he came home, both of those are seminal moments and periods. And then even just for me personally, there's moments where I've been striving and, I'm working on something day in and day out, and it just does not happen the way you think to. Or you poured all these resources and you think everything is aligned, and for whatever reason, the universe doesn't agree. We were working on this big concert in Phoenix not long ago, about a year ago. All the ideal talent, the ideal time coming out of COVID, people are trying to get out and do stuff, and it was not as successful as we wanted it to be. And I could have easily gone back home to like, oh well, I lost this money, and I'll count it up to the game. But it did not deter me from still being successful. It just let me know that that particular opportunity in that moment didn't work for me. The biggest thing I'll tell people about that to keep them encouraged is that failure is not final and it's never fatal. Meaning, just because something did not work out today, it does not mean you're going to die for me. It's not a life or death situation. Yeah, am I mad that I lost money or that I lost a relationship or I lost a friend or a job? Sure. But as long as there's blood in my veins and air in my lungs and I can get up and see another day, then I know I still have the capacity to achieve greatness. It's a matter of me now recommitting myself in a different way. But I've had a number of moments where I have to pause sometimes and be like, I don't know about this. I don't think I'm in the right
Yeah.
space. This isn't
Yeah.
working. Even though I've had some level of success in other arenas, that's still in your mind. And so I would remind people that's why I say success does not happen overnight. It
Yes,
happens over
sir.
time. And I can't be mad. You may try something tomorrow that I've been doing for 5 years and it never worked for me. And you do it the
Yeah.
first time and it works for you because it was your
Yes, sir.
time. And I will never miss an opportunity that was truly meant for me. If I missed
Mm.
it, it was because it really was not for me in the first place.
Yes, sir. Yes. Jewels being dropped right now, man. Jewels are being dropped. I have to piggyback off that question as well. Now, it seems you, excuse me, it seems you deal with pressure well, which is a total plus. I have to ask a little deeper. How do you
Yeah.
juggle so many hats, man? That is a lot of hats. You're talking children, you're talking, motivational speaking, books, author,
Yep.
fashion. How do you juggle that? And what would you tell a person that has many hats like that? How would to juggle something like that? Because I got a few, brother, and I sometimes I'll be ready to clothesline kids at the park. I hate to say that
Well, don't
online,
do
but
that.
okay, I ain't
Don't
gonna
do
do.
that.
See, Speaker B told me not to do it. I ain't
We
gonna
we
do it,
don't
but
do
I'm
nothing
just.
that look. I'll help you out, but I don't do jail and I don't do bail. Anything else, I'm good to help you with. So let's not do anything that's going to cause either of those two to reach a revolution. But here's the
Consider it
thing.
done.
What I
Yes,
would
sir.
tell you is that yes, I do balance a lot, right? And I'm great at finding what it is that I do incredibly well and getting people to support me in doing what they do incredibly well. So, like on my
Yes, sir.
speaking and book side of the house for my business, Phil is a guy in South Carolina. I've known Phil since I graduated from college, long-standing friend. He manages all of that for me. I'm at a stage now I can show up, speak, sign books, but I can also bounce. But I know it's not worth my time. Can I issue a contract? Sure. Can I read the contract? Yes. Can I negotiate my fee? I can do all of those things. I have had to do them. But I learned that's not the best use of my time. The best use of my time is getting Byron ready to go on stage so that when he leaves that stage, five more people want to book Byron, right? And so
Yes, sir.
surrounding yourself with people that have the expertise and skill set that can support your vision and help move you in ways that you can't or that you can move faster. There's a old African proverb from Ubuntu that simply the word is Ubuntu that simply means if you want to go fast, then go alone. If you want to go far, then go together. And so I've always learned that I work with people. Like I said, I mentioned Marisol on the clothing side. She handles that piece of it for me. Stuff at the house in Maryland. I've got a great friend, BJ, who kind of helps me pull stuff together. And so I've learned that I don't have to do it all myself, that I can count and rely on people that I've built relationships with. But at the end of the day, people are relying on you to do your part. Even the entertainment stuff, when I'm consulting on different projects, that is a lot of my personal time. But I also carve out. I'll sit down at the end of the year, beginning of the year, and say, these are the 5 things I'm focused on this year. These are the goals that I want. How do these things fit? And then sometimes I have to be honest to say, I can't do all of those things at this point in time. One of these will have to wait, and I need to prioritize that. Or the world will prioritize it for you if you're not very clear about it. The last thing I'll tell people is that we always use that expression, play hard and work hard. I fundamentally believe that. I really believe in this day and age, we are dealing and battling with so many different issues and times, so many different projects, people, emotions. You've got to build in time for yourself. And so I was just talking to one of my good friends, Melissa, who works, she's an exec over at Paramount. She's like, I am just so tired. It's the end of the year. I said, yeah, we run to the end of the year waiting for the holidays. But the thing is about successful people, you can't wait till you hit a wall to say, I need a break. So I intentionally, I've already planned some vacations into 2023 because I know I don't need the break right now, but I know myself well enough to know as hard as I run, in February, I'm going to need a 4-day weekend or a 5-day trip. In April, I'm going to need something else to give me 2 or 3 days because I need to do that for me. And unfortunately, people don't do that. Oftentimes, we wait till we hit the wall. We end up in the hospital. Then we say, okay, I need to take time out for myself. And I require me, for Byron, I have to plan and be highly intentional because if I'm waiting for the universe to put time in my schedule, it'll never happen. That calendar will stay full. And so I believe, as somebody just put in the comments, having work-life balance, I'm going to play incredibly hard. So you saw me in the Caymans. I did some work while I was there. I'm going to go to Hawaii at the end of next week. I'll do some work, but I'm still getting in my personal time so that I can continue to grow and reset so that I can come back and be better than what I was before I left. That's really important.
Yeah. And something else I have to piggyback off of, you said something that's extremely important to my brother Block as well, and I'd like to know more about. You speak a lot about your team. So needless to say that that's important. My question to you is, how did you build said team? Is these from personal friendships or is it from business that connected, or how did you build such an awesome team where you're able to juggle so much?
And it's all of the above, right? And I mentioned I met Phil when I got out of college. The organization he was working for, they would have an event, and I walked right up. Somebody said, hey, you should go to this block party this group is doing. I walked up and said, hey, I need to volunteer. I heard you all are doing great work. From there, we realized we were like-minded. We connected, and we've sustained that relationship. That was all the way back in 1994, and here we sit in 2022, right? But then you also encounter newer people in your life at different times. Queenie, who's on here, Queenie's blog, great blog, by the way. If you get a chance, you should check it out. Met her brother, Jay, who was like, hey, I like the stuff that you're doing. And then he was like, yo, I need to figure out how I can partner with you in doing some stuff. Jay started helping me out with Valdecio and some personal stuff at the house. And now he has the Chaos brand. Queenie and I were talking about social media, and now she has Queenie's blog, and she's also had a store. But you find like-minded people over time who, it's not about being envious, it's not about being jealous. I just want to see people win. And whatever I can do to support somebody else in doing that, I find that people also enroll you in their vision the way that you can enroll them in yours. And so it's not, have you been with me 20 years or you're a real day one ride or die? You may encounter people at different stages of your life who can answer a question or supply a resource that you need, but you have to be open to that and honest to say, I need the help. I need the support. I can't do this by myself. And being willing to open yourself up to partner with folks and to be supportive of what they're doing, that it's not about me. If Jay told me tomorrow, Byron, yo, are you home? I'm doing this for Chaos, and I need you to help me fill 5 cases of candles and pour wax, I'm going to go help because it's Jay. I don't need anything out of it, but that's my guy, and I'm supportive of what he's doing. The same way if you said you were doing something else, I believe that we all have to pay it forward. And when you do that, you'll never have a shortage of people who are willing to support the work you do because your actions speak louder than words.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I have to say, I'm gonna call you Speaker B. I'm big on nicknames.
Okay. I like
You
that.
break that down. Yeah, you Speaker B is like Speaker for life. I even put the four in it.
Yep.
Um, when you say that and how awesome you are with your team and helping people build, I have to make mention you're literally doing that right now for me. I am a realist. Uh, this is feet wet time for me,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just amazing. It's almost choking me up a bit because with all that, for you to take the time to do something like this for a guy that's, I got the ladder in the ditch, you know what I mean? But it's slow
Yeah.
getting up there. I just have to extend that thanks to you again. I definitely have to extend that because you're proving that everything you just spoke about your personal stuff, you're even doing it right now because I'm sure you've encountered people that, they get to a certain status or they have certain things and they don't look to help the person that wants to do the same thing. I don't believe in competition. This world is way too big for us all not to be able to have some part in success with it. So I just have to extend that thanks again, man. That is awesome. You are awesome. You are
Oh, I
awesome. I
appreciate
have to
that.
say that.
And that
We
means a lot. I
appreciate
mean,
you,
it's
man. Yeah.
we're only as great. People often say you're only as great as the company that you keep, and so I always find. But I also realize that I don't need to keep the same company my entire life. And sometimes we outgrow relationships, we outgrow partnerships, we outgrow opportunities. And part of
Yes,
doing
sir.
that is having a good group of folks who can remind you to say, you can do this instead. Have you considered this opportunity? I know you've done this really well, but you need to grow and stretch. You're getting too comfortable. And so I call it my personal advisory board. I've got a set of folks that I check in with. If I'm ever making a major decision career wise, I'm probably on the phone with all of them at some point saying, what do you think? Because you know me really well. And I know that they're going to tell me the truth. They're not just going to say, oh, Byron, that's more money. You should go do it. That my mind might be like, no, that sounds like you're gonna be in the office 5 days a week. You're gonna have to quit 2 weeks in because that don't fit your personality anymore. What are you thinking? Or is it that you're tired? Then take a break. But that role that you think you want, that's not the role for you, and here is why. And I need that. We all need folks that can give us that level of insight and input. And so teams become really, really important, as well as, and I would also say mentors become really important. I have been
Yes,
fortunate
sir.
and blessed to count a number of amazing people as mentors in life who kind of helped me see the full field when I could only focus on my position, if that makes sense. Right. So there's
No,
some people
absolutely. Yes, sir.
like a great quarterback has the ability to scan the field. They don't always have to be the best thrower. They need to get it in the pocket, but they need to know where the ball needs to go to. Other people, they're just good at catching the ball because that's all they can do. They can focus on what's coming right here all the way downfield. But if you say, can you see the whole field? They may not have that vantage point. But we all can have a team that collectively sees different pieces of that, knows who you are, that can figure out how do I help fine tune, or how do I help drive, or how do I help pull this out of you that you may not even know is there in the first place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I want to backpedal a bit.
Sure.
Uh, we did the fashion. We're definitely going to go back to that as well. I actually want to speak a little more about the education portion of your
Okay.
career. Um, what were some of the venues there?
So I started in the field of education when I was living in Arizona. I used to be a program manager for a nonprofit called Junior Achievement that was a school-based entrepreneurial curriculum. Essentially, it taught kids about business. Had been a student spokesperson for them in high school and college, etc. And at that same time frame, I was working with some community leaders who said, we want to create a charter school. Charter schools are incredibly popular now nationwide. At the time, there were very few states that had charter schools. Arizona happened to lead the nation at the time. And they wanted a charter school that focused on kids of color, that was downtown in the hood in Phoenix, And it couldn't have a faith-based curriculum because it was funded by state and federal dollars, but they wanted it to have a strong character-based curriculum. And so I wrote the application, did the research, pulled together the materials, and then when we got it, and I helped defend it to the state, and when it got approved, they said, we need you to run the school. And I'm like, no, I'm a speaker, I do training, I don't want to be here with no kids all day. Like, that's not my thing. Anyway, I took it. Best decision I ever could have made. So I spent 3 years running Progressive Leadership Academy and Progressive Junior High School and helping set the culture and the foundation, because I did believe it wasn't enough to have an amazing educator with a great lesson plan. You needed strong leadership to block and tackle in ways that teachers can't, or to solve challenges that parents are dealing with that prevent their kids from truly, truly learning. And so that's how I got started in education. And then while we were doing that, mentioning politics, at the time, Janet Napolitano was the Attorney General of the state as a Democrat. Matt Salmon was the Republican congressman. And Arizona, if you know it, is a highly Republican state typically. No one expected her to get elected governor, but I invited both candidates to come to our campus to do a tour, and I gave them our education plans, because to me, whoever ends up in office, my kids still need access to your office and for you to do things for them. Well, Governor Napolitano got elected and said, hey, what day can you start working in my office? And I took an appointment, political appointment, for a lady that I didn't even know a year before that, other than just knowing who she was by title, and left the education in the traditional sense to go be her education and faith-based community advisor, which was a whole different ballgame. It wasn't, can I work on my one campus? It was now, how can I create policies and scale opportunities for kids across the state that I also cared about? I mean, I still cared about my kids at my campus, and always will. But it also gave me a platform to figure out how I could do that throughout the entire state of Arizona. And that really launched me into a whole different trajectory in terms of my career.
Oh, wow. And do you still dabble back and forth with it as far as education goes? And
yeah,
like,
I don't teach.
Inspiring to you?
Yeah, I don't teach at all, but I work in education a couple different ways. So with Scholastic, we did the Byron V Garrett Social and Emotional Learning Classroom Library. We created that back in 2017 because I wanted kids to have access to materials that look like them, that also gave them hope and optimism. We're refreshing that. The updated version will come out next year in spring of 2023. That's one example. The work I do in Job Corps, where we work with young people 16 to 24, to put them in facilities to get their GED or their diploma, but also get them certificates in whatever field so that they can go directly to work. That's still education. And even the work I do as a speaker at conferences, I speak at a lot of education conferences where I'm trying to educate educators on how to be more effective in meeting the needs of today's student that's sitting in their classroom. So I consider much of what I do is education in some regard. People always think education is you're standing in the classroom behind the desk lecturing to a group of students. And I take the broadest view of education, which is I'm trying to help transform your mindset to be more effective in whatever it is you're doing. And that could be in a formal classroom. It could be on social media. It could be at a conference at the front of a room doing a keynote speech, or it could be me mentoring somebody. But all of that's education. So, yeah, I still stay connected. I will forever be connected to the education community in some way, shape, or form throughout my entire life, because I know that it is the only guaranteed passport that allows people to move from one space in life to the next. Now, what those spaces look like is different, but it is the one guarantee. There are other ways to do it. I've seen it in entertainment, athletics, politics, but it is the one consistent, guaranteed way I've seen people move from literally one station in life as their family to a next station and move out of poverty into a middle income, or move from middle income to high income. But it's the consistent one that I've seen work.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely, absolutely. It brings me to a question, and once again, those who just coming in, welcome to the Logic Lounge with Fleazy Jones, brought to you by Legend 7. We are speaking with the great speaker bee, Byron V Garrett, and you speak of team, you speak of education, you speak of mentorship. Brings me back, and yes, we touched on this earlier. And you spoke of some of your early inspirations, but I have a more detailed question. With the hats you have and the things that you do for yourself and others, who mentors Byron nowadays?
So I tell folks I've got a great set of mentors. My parents are the first two I ever encountered. You know, they say your parents are your first educators. Franklin and Yvonne Garrett, without question. So my other people like Stedman Graham, Oprah's long-term boyfriend, but also this great entrepreneur and former international professional athlete who I've known since I was a college student. Judge Glenda Hatchett, who's still on TV to this day, who does a lot of work in the family engagement community. She did a lot of stuff in family courts down in Georgia. There are people like that when I need insight. And then I have younger folks. My mentee, who's based in Phoenix, Arizona, former reality kid on TV, done all this great stuff. He gives me insight in ways that other folks don't, right? And so we often believe, oh, you got to meet somebody who's in a higher position or who's done more than you in order to learn from them. And I just don't believe that to be the case. My nephews encourage and inspire me and mentor me in ways that my parents are unable to do because they're more caring and progressive in their thinking and what they're doing, and they help keep me sharp in ways that other folks can't that are in my peer group. So I've had a number of folks down through the years, and probably my longest running one, I actually met her when I was a junior achievement, Evelyn Taylor. And it's crazy because she jokingly says, be nice to the kids that you work with because one day they may be your boss. And I think we've had 3 or 4 different times throughout our life, and I've known Evelyn now 30 years, throughout our life where she's worked on either as my chief of staff or my chief operating officer for major organizations where it's because I got the role and I can say, hey, it's you. And I trust her and she trusts me and she knows me. Because when you also get those roles, you need somebody around you that's going to help keep you sane that you also know that has your back. So those are some of the mentors that I would call out.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. With the mentorship, I want to go back a little more where I asked you about, breaking points and things like that. Was there anything like maybe a relationship that caused possibly a bad spin in the businesses that you do? Not even if friendship, relationship, anything like that, to where another person affected you. And I'll explain why I asked that, because a person like yourself that spends time motivating and teaching people, so you still have to remember that that person is human just like you. So it makes me wonder, have you had somebody that, I don't know a better word, like maybe tried to sabotage, whether it's conscious or unconsciously, where you had to maybe, okay, look, separate the self from it, yourself
No,
from it?
and thank you for asking that because oftentimes people forget that piece of it, right? That for whoever's highly successful and effective, it takes people behind them to be part of the engine. I can't say that I've had a person that I would single out. I would answer that question this way. There have been a number of times throughout my life in roles or opportunities or relationships where I realized I needed the courage to walk away in order for me to do what it is I needed to do and for them to do what it is that they needed to do. It didn't mean that we were bad people. It could mean that our courses were now going in different directions. Robert Frost said 2 roads diverged in the Yellowwood and I could not travel them both. And I'm sorry, I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. And so there are times in your life where it could be family members, it could be friends that you have to distance yourself from because everybody just can't go where you're going. And you have to figure out, is it worth me sinking the entire ship and bringing my entire foundation down? Or is it better for me to part ways, get enough distance and stability that I can stand on my own, and perhaps then I can reach back to bring somebody else to help them out. But yeah, I've had a number of times where I've literally had to make a conscious decision to separate and move in a different direction. I tell people sometimes I just wake up one day and if I've had enough of your stuff, I may not say a single word to you. I may not say that I'm disappointed. I'm not frustrated. I probably said all that at one point. But one day I'm probably going to wake up and move different. You're not going to know why. But I also tell people you will never know how hard I ride for you until I park, because you will feel the difference. It can be a very cold world. I'll say that again for folks. You will never know how hard I ride until I park. And that's an important piece for people to realize, that we think and we can take these relationships for granted. Me spending time with you, that's me choosing to do that. You asking me to is an honor, because you could have invited any number of people, right? And so we don't ever need to think so much of ourselves, and we believe we're beyond that. But we also have to be real enough to say, this no longer serves me for who it is I want to be. You're still stuck on who I used to be, and I can't be that person anymore. So let me introduce you to the new me, because I'm going somewhere else and I am someone else already. I need you to catch up. And I've had people be like, well, nah, you moving different. No, I'm moving the same. What you want me to do for you, I'm not able to do anymore. So now you move different. I didn't move. I didn't go anywhere. The room I'm in it may look different, but I didn't leave you. You left me. And so I think those types of things people have to take to heart, and it requires that work. You said self-awareness. And I would say self-awareness is critical, because until you know who you are, Stedman does this book around identity leadership. If you don't know who you are, any road will get you there. And so for all of us, that becomes really important in this day and age.
Wow. Great answer. Ain't no stumping you, Mr. B. There ain't
Not a
no
matter of
stumping
stumping.
you at all.
I'm just telling you what I exactly know and what I've experienced. And it's
Yeah.
and we've had those hard times. You asked about those moments, that are like breaking points. Yeah, nobody sees me sitting in the room when I'm about to fall apart, like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, I overcommitted in this case, or I'm not really ready for that, or I didn't order enough, or I have a supply chain issue and I ordered all these things for my birthday and they just did not show up. I'm so devastated, but the majority of people in the room have no idea that I even ordered it in the first place. So why would I ruin their experience because I'm trapped in my own mindset? Sometimes you got to get out of here and just do.
You know what? Shouts out to Block Legend 7. He tells me all the time when I'm talking about 20 year plus brother there. He said, get out your own way quick. And what you just said literally reminded me of that. He said, you're in your own way, get out your own way. So that is absolutely, I have to say, B, for what you do and all that you do, you are extremely relatable. Extremely relatable. I've worked for people in offices, man, call centers, AutoZone, that has an air from one thing, a title, right? And you have all this going on. And I feel like, dude, I could sit and have a mimosa or something with you and wouldn't even know you have all of this going on because of that relatability. You have an energy that is absolutely awesome, brother. And I just have to continue to say that this is a awesome talk. Like brother, I'm emotional. I don't care who knows it. My brothers are on live with me right now. They know how I am. I take things too hard. So I'm just excited about this talk, man. And I honestly, before we get there, because they are not going to cut you off, I make sure I need to know, are there any new projects coming for Speaker B right now that we should look forward to?
Yeah, so there are a number of those, and I want to say thank you too for that, because being able to tell the story and to get the message out there is super important. But on the horizon, there are a couple things. So I mentioned my mentee. I didn't mention him by name, but Tev Grant, TEVGRANT. I partner with him on a line of tracksuits, or spacesuits as he calls them. They'll come out right after the holiday time frame. That's one thing. They're amazing. I wear them. He does too, as well as other people. In my fashion space, I'm deciding right now which shows I'll do for next year. So you'll see new stuff that'll come out, both eyewear but also clothing. And then even on the writing front, I'll have a book that I'll do that's self-published that'll come out around September, around National Self-Care Month next fall. But also, as I mentioned, I've got the new classroom library with Scholastic that'll come out. I think it's spring. I'll let people know. Trust me, as soon as I know, everybody else will know. But that's a school-based project that'll be coming out. And then other stuff, who knows? There's always, that's the beautiful thing. And one of the reasons I like to be relatable is because you don't know who you're going to meet or what opportunity will lead to the next opportunity. My grandmother put it this way: it pays to always be good to everybody, because you don't know who anybody is. right? And so we know
Yes,
you by
sir.
title, but I don't really know. I don't know who you know. I don't know who's watching this that knows you. I don't know who will see this from your universe. I may get a phone call saying, "Can you create a new curriculum?" Like I did a year and a half ago. I got a call from my buddy. She was like, "Hey, I'm at MTV. We need somebody to help create unconscious bias training. I know that's not really your specialty, but I know you're smart enough to do it. What you think?" And I'm like, okay, bet. I mean, it's MTV. I'm gonna figure it out, right? And so there are those things that will also be on the horizon next year that I like to keep space for that I don't know what
Yes,
it's
sir.
going to be, right? There's usually 2 or 3 of those that are relatively significant, and I have no line of sight into them. I could not have told you a year ago I would sit on set at Nickelodeon and consult on a show like I do quite often now. I couldn't have told you that, but the way the universe unfolded it, and had I tried to design it, I would have messed it up. So those are some of the things that are happening, but stay tuned. There'll also be other stuff. But I just want to offer a fine point on this notion of being
Yes, please.
relatable. Um, Understand that the toes you step on today are attached to the foot that will kick you out of your office tomorrow. And so it pays to be good to everybody because they could be I tell people, if you really want to get something on my calendar, you don't need to ask me. You need to ask Phil or you need to ask Stacey Green because they'll make it happen before I will because they're the folks that control that for me, right? And so we have to be nice. And if Phil ever reached out and said, Byron, this person was rude to me, I don't think you should do such and such, I'm not going to do such and such because I respect Phil because I know him. I don't know you, if that makes sense. And so it
No, it
pays to be
does.
nice to everybody in the system because you don't know who somebody's going to be. I will say it again, too juicy, 24/24. The toes
Bring it
that you
back.
step on today are attached to the foot that will kick you out of your office tomorrow. And it's like that old expression, the same people you see going up the ladder are the same ones you'll see going back down. And so that's really,
Mm.
really important to me. And so I thank you for saying that because that's all credit to my parents. My mama would be beating me otherwise. Like, nah, that's not how we raised you. We raised you to treat everybody the same, no matter how much money
Yes,
they
sir.
have, what gender they are, where they're from, who they're with, what religion or non-religion. They're people and they deserve you to treat them as such. And so that's always stuck with me and that's the way I operate. And I have met people who they don't like that. Like, nah, we behind the rope. Why are you going over there? Because my friends are over there and they can't get behind the rope, and you're not my only friend. Like, nah, and if they can't go where I'm going in this particular case, then I can go to where they are, and I will bring them to where we are. If you really want me here, then I need spot for 4 more folks. Can you accommodate or not? Yeah.
Brother Byron, it is an absolute honor and an honor and just a privilege to have had this sit down with you. They are counting me down. I want to tell everybody here, if you're not following Byron V Garrett, I'm going to need you to do that. I'm going to need you to hit the Valdecio Collection. I'm going to need you to do that. I'm going to need you to keep in
Mm-hmm.
tune with this guy. Thank you. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate this. I plan to keep in tune with you as well because eventually, man, I got to give me a Valdecio thing. You know what I mean? I feel like that gold drip would be nice on me, man. I need the drip. You know what I mean?
No,
Yes,
we can make that
yes.
work for you. We can make that work. Yeah. Anybody that needs to reach me, feel free to hit me up. And thank you for sharing your platform and giving me an opportunity to speak to your folks as well. And to all my folks, I see you in the comments. Thank y'all for tuning in as well.
I love y'all as well. Thank you so much, man. Once again, this was the Logic Lounge with Fleazy Jones. I am Fleazy Jones, speaking with the great Byron V. Garrett. We're going to get out your head, guys. And remember, I got a little quote for you. Living off good instinct counts, so always keep your logic. Brother Byron, you have an awesome day. All of
Thank
my
you,
peoples,
Fleazy.
you have an awesome day as well. We'll see you next time.
Peace. Thank
Peace.
you all.